Okay, guys, so we're back again, and I'm extremely sorry for what happened. I think there was some kind of technical error with YouTube. Maybe we are trying to stuff in a lot of SEO copywriting keyword into the YouTube video, so Google or YouTube is not liking that. So maybe that could be the reason why Google or YouTube just decided to terminate a video. But keeping the jokes aside, we'll get back to it. The previous points that I have covered, I'm gonna be releasing that video on YouTube as well, because that's already recorded on YouTube. So you guys will be able to have an access on that. So rest assured about that. And I'm gonna be giving you a continuation. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, that's very odd. I don't know why YouTube keeps muting the audio for some reason. That's very odd. Okay, I'll just keep it over here in case if. All right. So as I was talking about earlier in my previous technique, that this is one technique that anyone and each one of you can use in order to start writing and drafting better and longer contents. So the way how expanded bullet technique works, or by the way, if you guys like this technique, then please do tweet about it, do mention about this article, and do write it on your Facebook and anywhere you go. Trust me, because this technique is something that you guys are really going to love it. So when I went to this site, it gave me a lot of ideas that, hey, here are the 9 points, right? And how can we write better? So as you can see that the topic is not in depth, and just if you pick up these uh, like 27 points alone, you can go as in depth as possible, because as a reader, when I'm reading this, right, I would be wondering like, okay, what do I do next? How do I elaborate that point? Like, I'll either hitting my back button, which will hit your bounce rate, and if your bounce rate is pretty high, then you're really screwing up your website, because your ranking is going to get affected. Okay, just making sure that my audio is like audible. I'll keep checking in for now. Please let me know. Hello, everyone. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So we'll come back. So as you can see, if we just take the first point, look at how I elaborated the entire point. Learn how to write good sentences. A sparkling sentence is the basic ingredient of good writing. That's all he has written. Now look at, I'm going to read how I went ahead and illustrated this. I'll go in depth. A good subheading is the basis of good article. In order to get started with good how-to guide, let's take an example. To get started with a basic how-to guide, you require the following ingredients. What is the conclusion? How many steps are required to accomplish? Pictures of every single step, basic and detailed description about every single point. And here is an amazing step-by-step how-to guide from WikiHow. Now, what I've done is I've taken step ahead. I've taken a screenshot from WikiHow, where I'm telling the users how to do things. So as you can see, just 1 point, which is hardly about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, close to around like 10 or 12 words, I have made it into a massive point by itself, which is close to around like 200 words. So this is something that you can do, and this is something that's extremely important. That previously what people used to do, they used to just draft the points. Now you can take things further. You can illustrate things. You can put a lot of screenshots, a lot of media, and a lot of pictures, where people can just go ahead and go as in depth as possible. And trust me, this is something that's extremely going to help you out when it comes to drafting even longer and in-depth content. But at the same time, if you see, I've not just stuffed in or anything over here. When I say what are the good ingredients, I'm talking and I'm giving you a perfect recipe of drafting a perfect content. So I'm not just like randomly pouring in all the random words and making it longer. That's not the point. The point is not to just stuff things in. The point is to start drafting things in a more unique way and in a more in-depth way. Now, after the 11th part, this is something that I love it, and I use it everywhere in my podcasting, my webinars, and even my blog post, where I talk about the cover later method. This is a method that I have developed, and this is something I use very often. If you see, when I started my webinar, I told you about something I changed on this article that helped me from not being shown into Google at all to landing me on Google's page 3 to page 6. It's been jumping around from page 3 to page 6 right now because it has entered like 2 days, like yesterday actually. So I'm going to be talking about it, but at the very, very end. So make sure to stick around. And this is what the cover later method is all about. And as per an article on time.com, if you see, Chartbeat says that 55% of the site visitor leaves in roughly around 15 seconds. So you just have 15 seconds to capture someone's attention. And a normal human eye can read roughly around only 230 to 250 words per minute. That means if your visitors are abandoning your site in just 15 minutes, right? Then they're only reading 55 to 65 words. That's it. Now imagine if you have to capture someone's attention, you only have 55 to 65 words. And you have to make sure that you spark up some amazing conversation in order to keep them on board. Now, the problem is after 15 seconds, there is another 15 seconds that comes in. So this is why you have to just drop in the cover later method again and again randomly, and you have to cover several points, maybe sometime down the road at a later stage, or maybe mention few of the points and tell them that, hey, it's been covered in one of the upper points, in one of the above points. This will help you for your users to stay on this art on your blog post for a lot of period. That is very, very, very important. So as you can see, you only have 55 words, and this is a stat that is not generated by me. This is a stat that's generated by Chartbeat, and they're like one of the top stat companies when it comes to pouring out stats to everyone. And most of the visitors, this is another very important factors. And with me, I call myself like a data scientist, and with me, it's all about data, because unless and until you have data, you cannot prove anything. And this is actually true. And I have covered it later on that I'm going to be showing you the screenshots to prove that these stats are actually roughly very true. And as you can see, Chartbeat says that most visitor will scroll through 60% of your site. So first of all, you only have 55 to 65 words. And secondly, they only cover 60% of your website, which is not a lot, because when you're drafting a lot of content, you have to make sure that they stick around. So this is why it's very important that you use these phrases very often. So if you want, write down these phrases, take out your notepad, take out your notebook, or if you don't have any of these things, then just bookmark this article, SEO Copywriting, and use these 6 sentences as much as possible. Do not try to stuff in everywhere, but try to use them at least 5 to 6 times throughout your article. And trust me, your bounce rate will improve. It will go down tremendously. I can bet you anything you want on this, because this is something I've already tested and it works. And unlike any other thing that people share, I only share the things that works for me. I would not be sharing anything that's outdated or something that doesn't work. I'll only share something that will work. So the first point, please continue reading. It's a very humble way of asking your readers to continue reading. We'll cover at the later part of this guide and tutorial. Now, people get curious. What is that one part that you will be covering later? And that curiosity is what sells. That curiosity is what will make your readers stick around with you for a longer period of time. So just writing something like "will cover" at a later part of this guide or tutorial will help your readers to stick around. Then jump to conclusions. When you write about it, people would just try to jump to conclusions right away. And then you can draft things in such a way where people, you summarize things in your conclusion where people would probably go up again and try to read out. Now that will help you with regards to your bounce rate once again. And bounce rate and your writing is directly associated and are one of the key factors in Google's ranking factor. The fourth point I'll be covering at later point of this tutorial. So once again, I'm just writing it in a very unique way every single time where I'm just telling the people that, hey, uh, look, I'm just going to be covering it later on. So just please read. Now, the fifth one, please read this point thoroughly to understand the next point. Now, this is something I'm not sure if you have ever seen any writer doing, but this is something I do very often. What I will be doing is in my points, I'll be writing like, hey, please read this if you want to understand the next point. So at that stage, even if a user would probably lose their attention, they won't lose their attention anymore at that stage because they know for the fact that this point is very important, because if I don't read this, if I don't understand this, I'm not going to understand the next point. Make sure to always treat your readers as they're just starting out, they're a small baby, so you have to spoon feed them every single time with your writing. And this is something you can always use. Once again, please scroll up for reference. Now a lot of time people would just scroll in quickly and you're wondering why people are not reading. So that's it, you have to drop in somewhere that, hey, please scroll up, where you're just like trying to link one point to the other point. So always make sure that you do not write everything in order. Try to randomize, because at that stage you can use all these the cover later 6 guidelines that I've given you in a much better way. And if you guys have your own phrases, if you come up with your own phrases, make sure to leave a comment. I'm going to include your comment over here. And most probably, if the comments are very good, then I'm going to link back to your site at the same time. So you have a good chance to get a do follow link from my site. So make sure to leave comments on this one, and I'll see how creative you guys get when it comes to coming up with phrases. So one phrase can lead to a backlink from my site. All right. So coming on to the next 13 point. This is something I am sure everyone talks about a lot. Add media. Add plenty of pictures, videos, media, everywhere, anywhere. Just make sure to add them as much as possible, because that will help you to reduce your bounce rate by a huge margin. One of my biggest challenges so far was to drop down the bounce rate. And I'll be sharing a screenshot. I won't be sharing a direct analytic of uditkonika.com, but the bounce rate of my site is close to around 11%. This stat used to be my dream. I've never achieved anything below 20% ever so far. The closest was around 90%, so I call it 20%. But this time I've exceeded it and I've taken it to a whole new level, because people stay on my website for a long period of time. And that one of the biggest reason behind that is I add so many pictures, videos, and media, and I add so many visual elements that people like reading these. So if you are one of those writers who are just adding one image or just 2 images, start adding more. Start adding images after every 3 points, 4 points. Just start adding them, but don't just stuff in unwanted images. So the most unique way to come up and overcome with that is use screenshots. Use screenshots as much as possible, because at that stage you are using a unique image for your site, and also there is a very high chance that someone could download your image and could link you back. So that is something that happened with Ghost versus WordPress article that I wrote, that a lot of people linked back to several of my images, and I got a backlink. They linked me back with my images. So make sure to add these. If you cannot create good images, you have screenshots. And what are the way? Just download a light shot This is my favorite screenshot Chrome add-on, and I use it very often, like pretty much every single day. And this is another one of the reasons why BuzzFeed is so extremely popular. BuzzFeed doesn't have any contents. When I talk about just written contents, they don't have anything. But the reason why BuzzFeed become BuzzFeed today is because of the visual elements. They present it in such a unique way where people stick. So make sure to do that. And here is a pro tip. Do not link back to any of your competitor site for your targeted keyword while writing content. Look for research sites or educational sites. If you start writing and if you start linking back to all your competitors who are already ranking, then you're giving them a free link. Do not do that at that stage. So that's a pro tip. So do not get into the vicious circle. Next one. This is something I've started seeing very recently, and I was working on one of my small niche site, and I wanted to try and experiment something very unique. And I'm not going to disclose that niche right now, but maybe in like one of the future webinars. So as you can see, people have started searching for emojis itself in Google, and Google has started showing up emojis everywhere, in titles, in results, everywhere, even in their auto like suggest. And this is something that's incredible because this gives you a lot of unique opportunities to rank right away. So if one of you is watching this, and if you are into tech niche or if you are into WhatsApp niche, go ahead, grab these titles right away and draft a good 2000 word article with these emojis. And I'm telling you, you're going to rank right away. Since I'm not typically into these niche directly, this was just an experiment micro niche site that I created to see how it ranks. This technique will really help you out. So if you are one of them who are not using emojis in your niche, start using them. And not only just use them in your title, but use them when drafting contents at the same time. One of the reasons why, if any one of you have ever interacted with me on Facebook, or if you would have chatted with me on Skype or any other platform, you would see that I use a lot of emojis. I would often use, after every 2 lines, I would end up using a smiley. And I have seen that it works amazingly well, and people are able to connect with me just because of that emoji. Because it's a smile, and people love smiling. People love positive things. So when you add these small elements, it will help you out when it comes to having people on your site for a longer period of time. But at the same time, you will be able to rank on these terms. Are you guys able to hear me? Just making sure once again. All right, perfect. Thank you, guys. Okay, so as you can see, start using emojis, and trust me, one of the best part about emojis is even if you're writing a slug, emojis are acceptable in slug. So just go ahead and start using emojis. So when I went ahead and I Googled this power, check this out. You will see that people have started using these emojis slowly and steadily to increase their CTR. And this is something that I'm going to start trying out very shortly on all my articles very soon. So as you can see, check this out. People are using the emoji in the slug as well. So this is a fantastic new opportunity for you to increase your CTR and possibly start getting those people onto your site. So try it out, go ahead, use emojis to increase your CTR, because this can really help you drive a lot more traffic. And this is something I'm going to shortly start experimenting on all my real sites at the same time. I'll include all those powerful emojis, positive emojis in my CTR, in my title, and I'll be testing out and I'll be posting my results very soon about it. And one of the most interesting stat is, there was a study that was conducted in 2016 by Social Media Week. If you want the link, it's there on my blog. You can check ahead, which says over 92% of world's population now uses emojis. That's you, me, everyone who's watching this webinar live, or people, even I'm sure, like even your parents, your siblings, everyone is using emoji. That is how powerful emojis are. So why not use them in your actual contents as well, and start driving in more traffic. And as of now, as of today, there are close to around 1851 emojis available. So if you want, just go to getemoji.com, and it's not even complicated. If you're wondering like how do I use it, all you have to do is just go ahead, copy it, and just go ahead and paste this. That's it. That's all you have to do, and you will see people have started mentioning it everywhere. People are using in the slug everywhere. So this is the power of emoji. So as you can see, this is something brand new that even I haven't seen so far. People are just using this as the title itself in YouTube. So start using this before it's too late, because if tons and tons of people start using it, it will get oversaturated in the long run. But if you are the first ones to get in, there's a very high chance that if you increase your CTR, you will drive in good traffic, and you will be able to convert those traffics. Because the biggest problem with everyone and anyone is to starting out. So you have already made your start at that stage. So you use these like something extremely unique strategy that even brands. I'm a huge Manchester United fan. I think last time when I went live on YouTube, you guys saw that there was a Manchester United match going on behind, and as you can see, even brands, they are using emojis. Another company, Rio, like Reliance Jio, they are using emojis. So everyone is using emojis everywhere, because they understand the power of emojis. It helps you to connect better. So start using emojis, and I can assure you, you are getting much better result. And isn't it cool? And see, I've used an emoji over here to decrypt the word cool with this emoji. So the next point, this is something I've been testing out for a lot of time, and I've been trying to understand why some of the platforms are getting so very famous and why people are enjoying reading them. One of the biggest reason why most of the top blogs or most of the top websites nowadays or platforms are growing and are able and are more readable is because they are self-centered. I know this is something no one has ever talked about when it comes to copywriting, but this really helps you, because when you're writing something right in the middle, you're not making your users turn their eyes left or right, which directly impacts to the human psychology, and you're making them stress less, where they can just focus. And this is something that Medium has already done a lot of research behind it. And that is the reason why you see that platforms like Medium and even top, like all the top blogs that are coming in, they are all self-centered. The reason behind that is you're making your readers do less work. And if you're doing that, you're making them with ease. So if you are still one of them who are using the left-sided post method with a right widget, I would request you to start moving towards a self-centered blog, because not only it looks much more professional, but you get a lot of room to do a lot of things. For example, if you can see on my left-hand side, I've made this as my table of content. Whereas most of the people, what they do is they just add that table of content at the very top using one of the WordPress plugins. The problem with that is the whole idea why you draft a table of content is because people are able to snap to that particular point where they want to. Now, the problem is if you add your table of content at the very beginning, people will have to scroll up every single time to go to a certain point or to read a certain point, and that makes things very annoying for your readers. And that is the reason, if you see now, people who are writing table of content, some of them have started moving their table of contents on the left hand side, and they have made it a sticky. Now that makes things a lot more easier, because okay, I want to read point number 19, I'll just click on it and boom, I want page on point number 19. If I want to read point number 21, there you go, I'm on point number 21. If I want to go back to point number 14, there you go, I'm back to point number 14, and back to point number 15. So that's the whole point of using table of content. So people often use it just to add things. Do not use table of contents for the matter of just sake of having it. Understand why table of content is being created to make things easier for your users to switch and snap, while avoiding them to like going back and forth. If you see, a lot of websites use the top button right at the right hand side corner where it says click, and you scroll right to the top. There is a reason why people add those things. So if you are one of the person who are still using left side, trust me, start moving towards a self-centered blog post way, and you will start seeing that people will start enjoying reading your blog more, because the design comes out very clean. And at the same time, as you can see, I've kept my left hand sidebar extremely simple. It's just subscribe now button with the share post which is floating. Now this has helped me to get a lot more shares because it's floating all the time. And at the same time, I've made sure to keep things and keep enough room everywhere. So try it out, make some changes. If you are on WordPress, start making out those changes, because that will really, really help you out the next time. Moving on, the storyteller method. If I tell you that I was never a natural writer, most of you would not believe it, or most of you would not accept it, or most of you would say that I'm just lying about it. But that's the truth. One of the hardest challenge for me was to write. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you a small story about what I used to do when I was a kid, especially when it came to writing essays. And I'm sure like all of you would really have a good laugh about it, because you'll be able to relate to it. When I was a kid, I used to write essays, and we used to have essay competitions, and at the same time, we used to have essays on write a topic which would be like write an essay on your school. And I would just keep wondering, what do I write? What do I write? And in our education system, they don't read how many words or what kind of quality contents that or article or essay you have written. What they care about is the number of pages you have written. So I used to really struggle to even go and hit on page 2 of my contents every time when I was a kid. And I would just stuff it and write the same thing over and over and over and over again and again in just different words. And this is something my teachers once caught me, and she asked me, and she goes like, "What are you doing? Why are you writing like this?" And I told her, "Look, it's struggling for me to write. This is something I'm not comfortable with. You ask me to go stand in front of people and speak, I'll do that, because that is something I've always done right from the very beginning. I've won awards standing in front of people and giving out speeches and like representing my school in at different stages. But if you ask me to write, it was very challenging for me. So to overcome that, it took me like a lot of time to start understanding the psychology. And that's when I started studying a bit of human psychology to understand what works. Now I'll tell you why I'm telling you this. When I shared you a story of mine of standard of grade 10 when I was in school, since most of you guys can relate to it, you would connect to me right away. And that is a power of storytelling. And that is the power of understanding what a story means and how it can connect to your audience right away. Don't just draft contents and expect the traffic to pour in. Even if you're getting 50 traffic a month, make sure that those 50 traffic are high quality and they understand you and they subscribe you. That's the whole point. It's not about the numbers game, it's about the quality game. So for me, even if I get 5,000 visitors a month, I'm happy with that, because I get close to around like 40 emails to 50 emails from my website. Out of those 50, like 5,000 traffic that I get right now on my blog, I get close to around 150 to 200 emails a month as of now. So the response rate is incredibly well. It's amazing. And that is something that's that will enhance you if you are able to tell a story, if you are able to connect to your audience better. And if you see, when I held a workshop in SEO in like Ahmedabad, I covered the entire journey, kind of like a vlog. So it's not really a vlog, but it's more like a D-log where it's documented. So I call it D-log. So it's well documented, and if you can see, I drafted everything in depth, and people people just enjoyed reading my content because I was not trying to pitch about how good the workshop was, or I was not trying to pitch about anything. I was just narrating a story, how I enjoyed this entire journey of for me going to to Ahmedabad for the first time and holding a workshop over there. And these webinars and workshops are giving me the opportunity to travel different parts of India, which I would have never thought. So that is something I poured out, and people loved it because it's a story. So according to several research, human brains are synchronized with stories. One thing, every point that I've told you so far, you might not remember, but the essay part that I told you, where I was just stuffing in and trying to come up with a 2-page essay just to score good marks, this is something that you will remember. When I told you about me going to Ahmedabad and how I enjoyed documenting everything, this is something that you will always remember. No matter how hard you try to forget it, you won't, because that is how human brains are wired. Stories can help you connect with your audience, and stories help you develop a better memory. Points people might forget, but story, how you did things, what you did things, and the way you did things, people will always remember that. So make sure to implement the same method and start adding and start writing your contents in a story method, and that will really help you a lot. And yes, this is my only smiling picture that the photographer took in Ahmedabad, and I have it. So after like scanning through over 200 photos that he clicked, when I saw like, okay, finally I have the perfect pose where I wasn't really posing, but yet he got the picture. I was really happy about it. So moving on. So if you want to download my presentation that I did over there on Private Blog Network, then go ahead, check out my site, this article, and click on this link. You'll be able to download the presentation, the entire presentation. And make sure, if you just want to check out the video of the entire workshop, I have posted it on my page. It's a facebook.com/Udit S. Goenka. So go ahead, check out that video. If you want, I'll post the direct link as well. And this is something that Yash Raj, he left a comment over there where he was just able to summarize, and he was able to get everything that I said, even though he wasn't present over there, but he was able to understand, and he was able to get what I said in the entire story. So if none of you were there, you would still be able to understand what I did over there. So this is the power of storytelling. And once again, if you see, even over here at the very beginning of this article, I wrote something which I was telling you right now, that if you are not a natural writer, then you fall into my category, because I was never a natural writer. And even though I got uditgoenka.com almost 6 years ago, I never started blogging until last year, even though I had tons of experience. I got into the industry 9 years ago. And at the same time, I had a lot of knowledge about marketing, but I was always scared to understand what to do things. And that's when I started researching a lot more. And trust me, copywriting and storytelling method is something that can really take your entire piece, your contents, to a whole new level. So if you can see, it's an SEO blog, but yet I'm implementing stories. So if I can do that, so can you. It's just the effort that you have to put in. The next point, moving forward, because we have a lot to cover, so I'm going to keep the rest of the points extremely short, or else this webinar is going to go like even longer. So moving on to point number 17, which is provide data, statistics, number, and a case study. If I just come up with something random and just write gibberish like, these are the 5 on-page SEO techniques that you should use, include title, include meta, uh, add your keyword in the slug, and just write some LSI. That's it. You are not going to keep your audience for a long time. Provide them with data, provide them with statistics, provide them how to do things, provide them with everything, provide them with a case study. Go as much in depth as possible, because it's not about how many articles you can come up with, it's about how many quality articles you can write. So if you are one of them who worry like, I have to draft like 10 articles a month for my blog, don't do that. If you can come up with even two, one, or even three high quality article, trust me that one article is as good as you writing 10 or 15 articles. I typically only do one article on my blog every month, and then I move on to the next month, or sometimes I even post one article every 6 weeks, because I make sure that it's as in depth as possible, where you don't have to go anywhere else when it comes to checking out any more points with regards to that subject. And this is a case study that Ahrefs did quite a while back, which was about what we learned about long tail by analyzing 1.4 billion keywords. Now their approach is very straightforward. It's data, it's analytics, and at the same time it's case study. And everyone who is into blogging or SEO, I'm sure they would love to go in depth and try to understand what that article is all about, because it's a case study and we all want to understand what works and what doesn't work. So make sure that the next time you're drafting something, include that. Another example of case study that I would like to talk about is of Brian Dean from Backlinko, and look at the way how he uses the case study very often. So instead of just making an SEO checklist, he converted that into a case study and presented in a more unique way. And this is something I'm going to be coming up with even a better and detailed draft of SEO checklist very soon. So just keep sure to keep asking me for more and more contents about what you require. So as you can see, the moment you start talking about case studies and how the changes and everything helped you, it will help you to attract a lot of natural share. And this one article so far, at the time of writing this content, has helped him get close to around 2,500 tweets and close to around 1,400 Facebook shares, which is a lot of traffic. So this is something that you can do at the same time. So let's say if you are into coding niche, right? So if you're into coding niche, just don't write something, write a case study of how you build a small application from a particular language and how it helped you to make X amount of money. Now, the moment you do that, you are triggering people's psychology, and people will automatically start sharing your articles, because when you share, you tend to look good in other people's eye, that you're sharing good things, you're sharing good and positive things. And that is a psychological factor why people like to share good things. So if you don't create something good, people are not going to share that. It's as simple as that. So make sure that you start writing case studies and start presenting your data in a more unique way. Again, one of the examples I did was the case study on Ghost versus WordPress, to understand which one loads fast and which one is better. And I have, if you go ahead and earlier that I was talking about, if any of you have missed out, do check out my previous video. Again, the cover later method that I used over here. So these are the things that you can really mix up and start drafting things in a better way. So as you can see, the results itself speaks up. This is the number of mentions I've got for the link, and it just keeps going deeper and deeper over the period of time. So moving on to the 18th method, which is use modifiers in your titles and contents. Now, one of your questions would be modifiers. Huh, what is modifiers? Don't worry, I'll explain you, and I'll explain in depth with some very good examples. So stick around. So what exactly is a modifier? A modifier is a word or a phrase used in functions to describe the meaning of the other word or a sentence. Confused still? Let me talk in a layman's language. A modifier has the power to change the meaning of a sentence, or it clarifies with a better explanation with details of given sentence. So if I'll just scroll up a bit once again, if you see that how I've added case study, I'm helping out my entire title over here stating that, hey, it's a case study. And that is helping me. So let's take a bit of more of an example over here. The use of modifiers in sentences. So here is a regular sentence. I'm soon going to cover an article on Facebook writing. But now here is an example of how to use a multiple modifiers instead of just one modifier. On 1st of May 2017, I'll be publishing an in-depth article on Facebook marketing that will cover the basics of Facebook page, Facebook groups, and Facebook ads. So now you can see I'm supporting my topic and my sentence with a lot of modifiers that is going to help out a lot. So next time when you're drafting things, make sure to do things and use these modifiers. And the next point, which includes in the modifier, which I already covered, is start using your modifiers in your sentence, in your titles at the same time. So this is a normal keyword title that someone would come up with, or I would come up with, or I initially came up with Keywordly Technique, Keyword Research Guide in 2017. Not that exciting. But the moment I say keyword technique, keyword research for SEO, updated 2017. So when I say updated, when I use the word updated, there's a very high chance that people are going to click that more as compared to the other one, because everyone likes reading updated things. No one wants outdated data. I'm sure like the moment you read anything that's outdated, you're just going to hit the back button. So make sure to include these kind of power keywords that I'll be talking about later on during this session. So moving forward, use the APP method. This is one of the most popular method which was introduced by Brian Dean from Backlinko once again. So what does APP method basically means? It means agree, promise, and preview. So whenever you're writing a very strong introduction where you only have 45 to 50 words in order to convince your reader whether he's going to read further, you use this method where you agree to whatever the people are searching for. Then you promise that, hey, this is what is going to happen. And then you preview that this is what you're promising and this is what you're going to show. And that is something that is exactly what I've done at the very beginning, where I've implemented the APP method along with my storytelling method. So if we come back and if we talk about my introduction, look at how strong my introduction is, where I'm promising, where I'm agreeing to people over here. I know you love scribbling your words on Notepad, trying to give a meaning to your copywriting and making them alive. But have you ever considered writing for audience and searching at the same time? I bet yes. All of you would say yes. So this is where I'm connecting. I'm trying to agree to them. Yes, it's possible. The technique is known as SEO copywriting. And then I implemented a story over here, which I already talked about. And then if you are struggling to hold people on your site, at the same time, look, it will just help you to keep your users engaged. And this strong introduction is what will help you to keep people. Are you guys able to hear me out? Just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. So this is what the APP method is all about. Agree to whatever the people is searching for, promise them that, hey, these things are going to happen, and then just give a small preview of your promise. This method works out amazingly well, and you should use this as often as possible. I use it all the time, along with the combination of starting with a trigger of a question, because the question can really help you out with regards to initiating and conversation with everyone and anyone. So moving on to point number 20, get more content ideas from Hero. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about Hero, which is help a reporter out. but that can be used in a more unique way. What people usually do with hero is they try to identify and they try to use hero only for in order to try to get backlinks. What I do is I take a step further and I use it in a more unique way. So if you see these questions, basically the question, they have included the keyword indirectly and an LSI keyword. So basically these writers have already done their keyword research and they're just looking for contents. You can be a bit smart. You can identify them, and if any of those resembling title resembles to your topic, just include them. For example, how do you know when your path is to become an entrepreneur? So what you can do is, if you are into niche where you're into motivation niche or you're talking about entrepreneurs, this is something you can write, or you can write and draft a content about it right away, because this is something that the person who's probably going to write. He's anonymous, so I don't know who he is. So he's going to write that. At the same time, you already have the contents posted. Until the time he gets his content, you already have taken a step further and you have posted your things. So you can use hero in a more unique way instead of just getting backlinks. Next point, always add a call to action everywhere. And it's very important. And when you add a call to action, make sure to highlight that. A very good example over here is, if you see throughout my article, I'm either asking people to join my Facebook group, and if you see now, I'm revealing something why I do get a lot of natural people joining the group is because of the fact that I mention about them in my blog post. So whenever someone from the US or Europe, they start reading about my blog post, they see that, hey, there's a group where a lot of quality contents are being posted. They join the group immediately at that stage. That is something that you can do at the same time. If you have something, just link it to your page in a more unique way. For example, keep reading. I'll share more about storytelling at the later part of the guide. And I've highlighted that. That's a call to action. And at the same time, I've mentioned something like click here to join my Facebook group for my free SEO copywriting training. People end up clicking and people end up joining. So that's how you promote things and that's how you do things. So make sure to start including relevant call to action to your article throughout, and not just once, not just like twice. Try to mention them as many times. And I'm asking my readers, which is you, to join the group so that I can stay connected with them. So here is another call to action that I've just put in. So make sure to do that. Moving on to the next one, which is interlink your contents. I won't emphasize how important this is. One of the biggest reasons why I rank better is not just because of the fact that my contents are very good, but because of the fact that I interlink them nicely. And I don't interlink everything. I would only interlink 2 to 3 blog posts of my previous blog post at the very most, to pass as much link juice as possible. This is one mistake that people often do. What they will do is they will try to link up every single blog post that they've written to one post. That is a problem because you're diluting all your authority across everywhere. And that is a big problem. Do not do that. Structure things out in a better way and pass your link juice in a much better way. And I have several posts written out. If you want to know more about it, I'll be drafting a much detailed content about it. But meanwhile, if you go ahead and saw how I rank for PBN hosting keyword, this is one thing that I've used. And I keep shifting from rank 2 and rank 3 for my main keyword. So use interlinking and do it very smartly. For example, my very first blog, this also helps you to dilute some of your anchor text, because I'm sure most of you are like trying to build links on your anchor text. So something like interlink can really help you out to completely dilute your anchor text ratio. So interlinking is an extremely powerful method in your SEO copywriting technique. Make sure to use them because that can really make a very massive impact on your the way you do things. And at the same time, if you want to start analyzing your interlinks, then instead of using any tools, here is a free tool. Just go to Google Webmaster and hit on search traffic. Then you will see something known as interlinks. and you will get to see all the information about your interlinks and how you have structured and interlinked to each other. Use a free tool that already exists instead of paying for something. So this is something that you can do. Moving on, point number 23. First half of your section matters the most. When you start reading, people often tend to get bored. And I hope none of you guys are bored so far. So please leave a thumbs up or something so that I know you guys are not bored. Or else I'll just crack another joke or something. Everyone? All right. All right. I'm not going to do any more PGs or jokes. Relax. All right. Moving on. Uh, so it's very important that you keep your users engaged all the time. And your first half of your section will define whether they would read rest of your 50 to 60% of your content. So make sure that your people are not bored. Try to include unique things. Try to include as many images and medias as possible. I have heat map enabled on my site because, like I said, I'm a data person and I need data of everything. And as you can see, 80% of the visitors reach the top, whereas by the mid, 50% of the visitors drop down. And I've been analyzing this, and I was very shocked that by the time it ends the end, this is something that I took the screenshots long back before making a lot of changes to my contents, which has helped me to increase that ratio from 18.5%, which is close to around 37% right now. This is very important that you start implementing all these techniques, which I discovered and I have started implementing at the same time. So make sure that your first half of your section, be the initial 1000 words or 2000 words, are absolutely amazing, and that will really, really help you to make sure that your users stay on for a longer period of time. Next, the next very important point, write a better closing. Generally, your closing statement plays a second most important role in your article after your introduction. You may ask why. That's because if you connect well with your audience, they are likely to share your article, link your article on their website, or leave a comment on your site. Then how to write an ideal closing or conclusion? Keep it simple. Be precise with a quick summary and a call to action. So here is a conclusion that I've written for my keyword lead technique, which you can read, where I have mentioned everything in short, and at the same time, I'm asking people to take relevant action. That is important. Ask people to comment. If you don't ask people to comment, people are not going to comment. Ask people to share. If you're not going to ask them to share, they might not share. Ask them to link back to you, because if you don't ask, there's a very high possibility that they might not link back to you. So if any one of you enjoyed my article, make sure to link it back to your site. I would really appreciate that. Okay, so moving on, as you can see, this is how I draft my conclusion, and this is really going to help you out when you are drafting your conclusion. Summarize your topic quickly. Let your readers know you're always there for them. Ask them for their suggestions, call to action, and request them to share. These are all emotional triggers that we are writing and we are talking about. Ask them to do all these things, and this will really help you out the next time you are drafting, and you're drafting a conclusion, because your conclusion plays a very important role. And do spend time and focus on how you end your topic. That makes a lot of difference. So make sure that to subscribe to my newsletter if you haven't, because next time when I publish a blog post very soon on the case study, I'm going to first release to my email list. So if you still haven't subscribed yet, here is a large subscribe now button with a very cute and very simple and very amazing orange button of subscribe written. So make sure to enter your email and hit the subscribe and join my email list. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is the 26th, which is the 25th point. Use bold, italic, and underline. How many of you actually understand the true meaning of the word bold, the word italic, and the word underline? When and how to use it? How many of you has ever researched about it? to understand. Let me break down things for you, because after reading this, you might have better visions about why they were invented and why and how to use them. So let me give you the benefits about it. It increases your the average reading time on your site. There are thousands of articles published every single day, and most avid readers in the world want to quickly read through your entire article to move on to the next one. And you want to slow them down so that they stay on your site for a longer period of time. This is where bold, italic, underline plays a very massive role. If you see, I've done something very unique with regards to my sidebar. As you keep reading them and as you come to that point, it turns orange. And as you keep going down forward, and as you keep to the next point, the color changes again. This is something, ever since I've made a change, I've seen a drop in my bounce rate even further. It has improvised even further, because now this is kind of like a reward. This is acting like a reward for the people that, hey, I have read this point and it has turned orange now. That emotional trigger is helping those people to stay on my site for a longer period of time. So make sure you implement these small hacks to make sure that people stay on your site for a longer period of time, and at the same time they read in depth and they read as much as possible. So let's understand the meaning. Bold or emphasis tag is used when you want to highlight the strong sentence, keyword, or anything or any important message. So don't just bold your keyword. That looks very ugly. People are going to know that. Try to build out a sentence and bold that entire sentence. That will look, and that will make you look more genuine. Those days are gone when people would say like, uh, just go ahead, just go ahead and do things, just go ahead and bold all your keywords, just go ahead and use italic on your keyword, just go ahead and use underline on your keyword. Don't do that. That's stupid to do. And I'm sure you don't want to be one of those stupids to do that. Don't do that. Instead of that, be unique, write an entire sentence and try to use important phrases in that way, because that could make things and take you to a whole new level. That is a true meaning of using the bold word. The next one, the meaning and use of italic. Italic tags are used to highlight any conversation, dialogues, and sentences. How many of you knew that? Be honest and genuinely tell me on chat. How many of you knew when to use italic? I want to see. Um, Anyone? How many of you knew how to use the word italic and when to use it? This is the problem, because when you're not able to understand how to use it and when to use it, you cannot use it properly, and this is where the small thing makes a very massive difference. So next time when you are drafting or when you are covering a conversation, dialogue, or any sentence, that is the time you use italic. For in this example, I drink not just 2 but 5 cups of coffee a day. So it's a sentence, right, where I'm putting an emphasis on not just 2. Not just 2 is what is supporting, but and which is what is supporting 5 cups of coffee a day. Because if I remove that and if I just say I drink 5 cups of coffee a day, that still makes a sentence. So this is the true meaning of using the italic word. So next time you use italic, you can proudly tell people that I know the meaning of italic and you don't teach me anymore. So this is something you can say to your like anyone who comes up and says to you next time. So moving on to the next one, which is the meaning and use of underline. This is extremely powerful, and we use it mostly when we are linking to something. If you see, my links are very, very bold because those are underlines and I want to get your emphasis on it. I want your attention on it. And instead of any traditional underlines where people use like just 1 pixel, I use close to around 4 to 5 pixel because I want my underlines to be very heavy. I want the complete focus. In this case, read my guide on private blog network and save yourself with this PBN footprint checklist that I've written. I have made enough emphasis for you to click on it and read on it. These hacks will really define you and take you to a whole new level. So if you have a blog where you link very often, Just go ahead and increase the underline from 1 pixel to 4 pixel, and you will see a very massive difference when it comes to the click through rate that is going on your site. Moving on to the next one, which is the most powerful point out of everyone. So make sure you pay your complete attendance, like complete attention, and understand the importance. Use power words to enhance your blog post. Um, Use it all the time. You might have seen that I use a lot of like powerful words, I use a lot of negative words, or I use a lot of questioning at the same time. These power words really help you define to become a better writer and you to become something different. And that also acts as a clickbait. But instead of just making a traditional clickbait, you can actually draft a whole content around it and make your article stand out even better. Start using power words to take your writing skills to a whole new level. And there was a whole case study posted on copyblogger.com. So go ahead and check out the link and you will love it. Here is the entire case study. So a person, what he did was he went ahead and he wanted to get a Xerox done. He went ahead to the first person and he asked that person, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use a Xerox machine?" And people who were standing in the queue, 60% of them said, "Okay, go ahead." Now, that the same person experimented and said, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine because I'm in a rush?" And whenever you say I'm in a rush, people say, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And this helps you out big time. And because of the factor that when you give a reason to something, people associate the importance like, okay, it's urgent, and people go ahead and let you do things. And this is something I've tested out. So I'm not sure if many of you know, but I travel a lot. So I'm either like in one city like today or the other city tomorrow for meetings, webinars, workshops, and several other things. And one of the time, I'm sure like you guys might have done this as well. Stand in the queue, and even if your flight is not coming, or if your is not like soon, go ahead and tell people like, "Hey, um excuse me, can I go first in the queue because my flight is about to fly, so I need to be there very quickly." People will start saying yes. But if you go ahead and ask people like, "Hey, may I go in front?" people are just going to say no. So this is why these power words and reasoning can make a very massive difference. Start implementing them and you will see a massive difference. I've compiled a list of very powerful words, very powerful um, comfort words. I've categorized everything. Go ahead, bookmark the site because you might want to come back again and again and see which power word fits in to your next blog article. So I have listed out so many good of them that this is all that you require for your next article and all the future articles that you write. Moving on to the next one. This is something very simple, so I'm going to keep it very short. I'm sure everyone knows about Grammarly. Use it. It's really going to help you, because no matter what you do, how good of a like editor you are, you might make some normal mistakes. And as you can see, I make a lot of normal mistakes, and I've been using Grammarly since 2015, and I've made close to around like 8,500 small mistakes here and there. So this is something that Grammarly detected. It could be like any typos, spelling mistakes, or anything, and Grammarly was able to detect and like fix it very quickly. So if you're still not using it, go ahead and use Grammarly. It's very important. Moving on to the 28th point, which is extremely important point once again. Use animated GIFs in your article. Video speaks millions of words. An article speaks 1,000 words. But what if you need something in mid, which is quick to make and can also possibly get you a lot of backlinks? This is when you start making animated GIFs. GIFs are great. It can be funny, informative, and much more. I use GIFs very often in several of my blog posts, email, Facebook, Twitter, and a lot more depending on the campaign that I run. I'll show you a small example. This is an hilarious meme. I'm sure like everyone who is watching this is laughing, right? Hello. So I'm sure like everyone who's watching this meme right now, this GIF file right now, they are laughing big time. And this is something that I ended up using on my Go PBN affiliate link, and that has helped me to drive a lot of affiliates to Go PBN because the pitch itself is so amazing and so hilarious, and at the same time the figures are so amazing that people got connected to it right away, and they were like able to associate to things right away. So make sure to include gifts. It's extremely important that you add gifts, but don't add anything random. Make sure it's extremely relevant. And I've got a lot of private messages because of that, and a lot of signups because of that. And GoPBN alone has got like close to around over 300 affiliates in a matter of just 3 months of relaunching. And if you want to learn more about GIFs and how to make GIF, you can check out a quick blog article that was written by Pradeep from Hellbound Blogger. So go ahead, check out his article. I've already mentioned the quick guide link over here. You can click on it. And at the same time, if you just want to record a screenshot, then this is the recording tool that I use that you can make GIFs, animated GIFs very quickly with. Recorded is an awesome tool. I use it very often. This is a direct link. As you can see, I do not use affiliate links anywhere on my website because my intention is not to make money from my site, but to share as much information as possible. Amazing tool. I use it personally every single day. You can see it's right up over here, top. I use it every day. Just go ahead and use it. You will absolutely fall in love, and one of the best investment you'll be making. And to get started, just click on things. So for example, here's a small gift that I created with it. And this helps because when people see, oh, the smiley is coming in, all of a sudden they connect. So these small things makes a big difference. And at the same time, yes, I don't know how many of you know about Jimmy Fallon show, but that guy is amazing. I always laugh every time I see him. He's just amazing. So moving on to the next point, which is the 29th point. Write your blog and copies in active voice. How many of you know the difference between active voice and passive voice? Please leave your comments and let me know. So you guys know the difference between active voice and passive voice? Okay, so what's the difference? Please tell me. What is a passive voice? Everyone? What is a passive voice? Leave your comments. Okay, so I'm assuming the people who are not answering are not aware of it, so they're not writing about it. So I'll give you a small example of how it is and what it is and how to do things. So here is a small trick that you can use in order to identify whether it's active voice or it's passive voice. Go ahead and add by and name in the end. That is a passive voice right away. So something like um, to rank the client site, links are being built by Udit. This is a passive voice. But if you want to write it in an active voice, Udit has been building links to rank his client site. So this is the difference. Use by to understand. This is one of a very powerful method. So if you are struggling to understand, and if you are struggling in English a bit, this small trick or this small hack can really understand you to understand better. And it's very important that your English is extremely strong when it comes to blogging, because if you are targeting outside readers, especially US and European audience, you want to make sure that your language is extremely powerful. So this point is very straightforward. Here is a direct tip. To make any sentence passive, end it up with by, and you will see it's a passive voice. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Okay, so I see Yashraj, Naveen, and Neil has answered. So since Yashraj, I think he has already got a Go PBN t-shirt. Neil, I gave you one, so I'm gonna give a t-shirt to Naveen for answering that. So do let me know and do send your address to me later on so that I can ship a GoPBN t-shirt to you. So everyone who is not answering, make sure to start answering in a chance to win a t-shirt. All right, moving on. The next one. This is the link out method. What is the link out method? It's basically linking and outbounding links. Google from time to time have said, and there has been various case study which has proven that it's very important to outbound to relevant contents that you are drafting in order for the bots to understand better. If the bot is coming to your site and if you are supporting with Wikipedia links or any other research links or any other supportive links, it's really going to understand Google bot to understand your contents better, because when they relate to that content, they'll be able to understand, you will be able to rank better. So make sure that you have at least 3 to 5 outbound links on your site, and make sure to do follow those links. It's very important, because if you don't follow those links, they won't be given any importance at that stage. So make sure that you do follow those links and have at least 3 to 5 extremely high quality and relevant content you are linking to. So don't worry about that, whether you're giving a link to someone. It's important to do that. If you don't do that, you are losing out and you are not going to rank at that stage. So make sure to do that. As you can see, when I was talking about the cover later method, I was listing the stats. So I linked down to time.com, which is an extremely high authority site. And at the same time, it links out to exactly what I say. So and at the same time, I'm not linking to a competitor of mine. So it's a perfect balance and a mixture of everything. So this is how you do your outbound links. So this is what the link out technique is all about. And who should you link to, and whom you should avoid. I often make sure that I do not link my articles to any of the top 5 pages for my targeted keywords. Why? Because by giving them a link back, I'm making it difficult for my own article to rank for the exact same keyword. So what I do is I often link my articles to authority publications or research sites, though I do make some exceptions at times and link to my competitor sites to build relationships. So I make a mixture of everything, and you can make sure to keep a healthy mixture of everything. The next point is include meaningful alt tags. Don't just include any random tags. Another advantages of having a lot of media, especially images on your site, is you are able to add a lot of tags, a lot of alt tags. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm just gonna show you the source code and the alt tag. Okay, so as you can see, everywhere, wherever I have written down my contents, I have a targeted LSI keyword in my alt tag. So look at these. This helps you. This helps you a lot to drive traffic and to help you rank. So if you're not sure that whether you have added the correct alt tags, you can go ahead and download Screaming Frog. It's an amazing tool, and scrap out your entire pages, and you will be able to see all the images that has alt tags, and the ones who doesn't have an alt tag, you can add an alt tag, or you will get a list and you can start making changes. So if you want to use Screaming Frog, and if you don't want to use it, you can grab Power Posting's Windows VPS server. That is that is something we own. So you can grab those and you can start using them, and you can start powering, and you can start categorizing things in a more unique way. And here is an example for the PBN hosting image keyword. I'm currently ranking like 2 of my images at the moment when I wrote this article. That is the power. And I'm going to also say one unique and bonus method that I've not covered in my blog, and I'm not even covering in my webinar. But if you subscribe to me and if you send out an email to me asking me what is that one more method, I'll make sure to send you the entire details of that. So make sure, take action. Email me. It's udit@gopbn.com, udit@gopbn.com. Send me an email asking me what is the bonus point, and I'm going to send it to you. And finally, here is what the copywriting is all about. take action, and if you start using these techniques, I can guarantee you my entire life that you will rank better, you will get amazing results. And this one article is all you need to draft better, longer, and more adventurous contents where people are just going to enjoy your article. So if you love this article, please, if you haven't shared this article, I would really love it. I would really appreciate it that you went ahead and took time to share the article. I've spent over 2 hours explaining every single point to you in order to help you guys out. So go ahead, share out this article. This would mean a lot to me. And at the same time, if you have your blogs, do link it back. I would really appreciate that. And now, the most important point, the most important discussion. Now let's get on to the Q&A.
Can we ask directly?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So can I?
Yeah, sure, sure. Go ahead. Ask me as many questions as you guys want.
Okay. One thing which I noticed that
Hmm?
you use large images as covers.
Hmm?
You are using large images as cover images.
Right.
So what advantage does it have? Because I read somewhere sometime back that pushing the content below actually hampers your rankings. I am not sure about it. I just wanted to ask what's the purpose behind taking the decision?
The purpose behind taking that decision is when someone is coming to my site, I want them to connect. And when they see an image and when they see a very clear title, they connect and they connect better. And if anyone has said that, I've proven them wrong. I'm already ranking. And if you see, I have a similar layout for most of my main main sites, main blogs, and I'm just able to rank very well because not only I get a very good bounce rate because of this. So if someone is saying that is extremely wrong, they haven't even tested out before saying, I would say.
Okay, that's great. I did that change for 2 to 3 articles
And trust me,
while listening.
you're gonna have a much better bounce rate. I'm telling you.
Yeah, actually, I was
Because
doing that, implementing your changes while you were speaking.
sure, 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 sure. All right,
Okay,
perfect.
just one more question.
Yeah, sure.
When I opened that course schedule app,
Uh-huh.
that course schedule headline analyzer,
Right.
I was analyzing my headlines and I noticed that in most of them, emotional words were missing. And
Hmm.
I could not find any exhaustive resource or a good article on the internet which can explain what emotional words are, what is a list of good emotional posts or something. So, do
Uh-huh.
you have any idea about it?
I do have plan to cover specific article on just power words. I've covered just a little bit of about power words over here, so you can use these power words for now. But some of the emotional power words could be like love, right? That is an emotional power word, or something like hatred, right? That is an emotional power word. So those are the power words that can make a lot of emotional changes and that can really hit you. So I'm going to be covering those very soon, like an article just on power words. And one of
Okay.
the one of the things that I wanted to share with you, who sticked around right till the end, uh, was earlier you might have noticed that I was using the title, "Your blog article sucks," and I've changed that to 31 actionable SEO techniques. So when I publish these blogs, I was able to get all my targeted keywords into Google's like top 5 pages right away, except for my targeted keyword SEO copywriting. I waited for 2 weeks and I was still trying to understand what is happening. I waited for third week and I was still not able to figure out what it was. And then I thought that I think since I used the word suck in the title, Google probably thought that it's probably an adult uh, related content or something because of the title itself. I removed that and I added and I changed my entire title, and right away I landed on page 3. So this is an interesting experiment that I did that I wanted to share with you guys. And be careful with the kind of power words you use as well when it comes to using on your title tag or for your social media. Just be very careful. So if you go ahead and see,
Okay. Thank you for the answer.
right.
I also left a comment regarding the what was that? The I forgot the name. You asked us to comment on point number 9 or something.
Uh, oh yeah, like the phrase itself.
Yes.
All
I would
right,
love if you can check it out.
yeah. All right, I'll have a check. Make sure that everyone is leaving. Anyone else? Anyone else has any questions?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I have a question
Hmm.
related alt tags.
Yeah, please ask me.
Should the alt tag be same as the article, or it can be any LSI related to the content we have put in the article?
Make sure that you have one LSI keyword at the very least in your article. Sorry, your main keyword as an alt tag, and at the same time have like multiple alt tags, multiple SI in your alt tag. But at the same time, this is why I use so many screenshots. I use so many media so that I can use those alt tags. So make sure to include as many of them as possible.
What should be ratio of main to the other ones?
The main ones, the other ones, just use them once or twice. Every single LSI, just once or twice your entire article. That's it. Don't try to stuff those like many times.
Okay. Thanks for the answer.
All right. So Shubham is asking, can you speak about your keywordly post? I read, but I want to hear from you. I've already covered an entire webinar on keywordly technique, so maybe you can check that out. I'll post a link for that in YouTube later, or like on Facebook later on. So anyone else has any questions? Because I know like you guys have been here for quite a long time, and I do not want to take a lot of time of yours. So let me know if you guys want like have any questions. Anyone? All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap up this webinar. Thank you so much. Please do share this webinar as much as possible. Once YouTube has finished finalizing the video, I'm going to share this video, and please go ahead, share it as much as possible, and at the same time do link back and do share this article on social media. Once again, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. The next webinar, I know there were some technical issues today, but the next webinar will be more organized. And thank you so much, guys, for being here. You guys are awesome because you guys are here, you guys are taking action. Everyone else is probably enjoying the Saturday while you guys are being here, and you guys are taking time out to study. So you guys are already ahead in the game as compared to them. So tomorrow, if you guys are more successful, this is the reason. This is the reason why they're more successful, because you guys are taking action and they aren't. They are enjoying their life. This is what will take you to the next level. Once again, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Take care and enjoy your weekend.